Okay, so we talked about the FAFSA application. I'm pretty sure all of you have heard this. What is the FAFSA application? It is the free application for federal student aid. This is an application that is created by the Department of Education, and it allows students to apply for federal funds that they can use towards their cost of attendance. Basically, what they are doing is they're using information. There is since the Obama administration got involved in this process, they put a procedure in place called prior. The FAFSA application was a very stressful application for a lot of parents to complete because it was requiring them to complete their tax information for, let's say if you're going into the 21-22 academic year, they would need to have their 19-20 tax returns completed right away. And a lot of parents weren't able to get the application completed as quickly as they needed to, which caused some delays in the financial aid process. So under the Obama administration, they implemented a new process called prior. So students and their parents are actually completing this FAFSA based on data that is somewhat, I want to say almost 2 years old. So for this year, when we do the need analysis, or we did the need analysis for the current academic year, we're looking at families' information based off of the calendar year 2018. And in some cases, some families may say, well, 2018 was 1 year, but it really doesn't reflect where we are right now. And we'll get into a little bit of that a little later as well. So what happens is the students and the parents, they log on to the FAFSA. There's a student identification number that is assigned to them. There's a parent identification number that is assigned to them. And basically what they are doing is they're filling out this application based on their total income of that given calendar year. And so for this year, it would have been completed based on the 2018 tax information. And what happens is the Department of Education does what we call a very liberal calculation based on what they self-reported. And they get, and you'll see at the bottom right-hand corner, the acronym EFC, and that stands for Estimated Family Contribution. Well, how do they get that information? That's a calculation, again, based on what they reported in terms of income, untaxed income. It doesn't look at any assets or things of that nature. The CSS profile and other institutional forms do take a more stringent look from that component. So what I tell my families is that EFC, that 5431, this random number here, that is a base minimum expected family contribution that parents and students should be prepared to pay towards their costs. Now, this number is, subject to revision if there has been some changes since 2 years ago when they filled out when they did their tax returns. So they fill out the FAFSA, they get back, they being the student, something called a SAR, which is a student aid report. And basically all that is it's a summary of all of the information that they put on that application. And so what I encourage families to do is to look at that information. And in particular, I need you to look at the comment sections, because if there is something wrong, many times parents use their social security number instead of the student's social security number. The date of birth could be wrong. And if any of those pop up, the institution that is scheduled to receive this information will get something that we call a C flag, meaning that the application was not properly processed and that the student is being asked to get in contact with you, the school, to have that matter resolved. So your students that are filling out the FAFSA, and I like to encourage my even sophomores to just go online at FAFSA.gov and just fill out that application so that they can get a feel for the types of questions that they are going to be asked to complete when it's their time to apply for financial aid. It takes into consideration the family size, and it also allows you to list, I think it's up to 12 schools now that the FAFSA will allow you to implement what we call the school code. So the student needs to know the financial aid school code of the institution that they're interested in, and this information is sent to schools electronically. So if the student is accepted, this information, like here at Georgetown, is downloaded into our system, and we can begin to do what we call an analysis and verification. That's, I think the basic part of the FAFSA is a lot of families have a hard time just getting through the basic questions. And then what happens is every year you go in and you update that information. So you don't have to basically, you're reapplying for financial aid, but you're still on the same template. You're updating it based on the updated new academic year.